Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by PG Long Floor Covering, carpet, hardwood, or laminate, flooring, cleaning, or restoration. Call PG Long, your Northwest flooring experts, pglongllc.com. First on The Fan, some NFL news. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network reporting the Jets hiring Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn to fill their head coaching vacancy. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting 9-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Khalil Mack will play in the 2025 season. The 2016 Defensive Player of the Year winner set to be an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his 11-year career. Schefter also reporting Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen taking himself out of consideration for the Jaguars head coaching job and will remain in Tampa on a new deal that'll make him one of the highest paid coordinators in the league. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid says wide receiver Mecole Hardman will remain on injured reserve and will not return in the playoffs. The Trailblazers have won 2 straight after putting away the Heat in the third quarter last night in Miami. Portland now off until a back-to-back tomorrow in Orlando and Friday in Charlotte. The team announced today they've recalled Ryan Rupert from the Rip City remix. And ESPN's Shams Charania reporting Maverick center Derek Lively sustained a small fracture in his foot and is expected to miss 2 to 3 months. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. Warm up the grill, grab a beverage, and paint your face.
How do you like yours, Clark?
Oh, medium rare, a little pink inside.
Oh, you're fine. Light or dark?
This is Danny and Dusty on Conference Championship Week.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design, a trusted local architectural design studio ready to bring your dream home to life. Visit smartlinehomedesign.com.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Vicky, can I help you with that Kool-Aid? Please?
The Fan.
Good afternoon! Happy Wednesday. How everybody doing here?
Is it Wednesday?
It's it. Yeah.
The Monday
Tis.
off. The Monday off.
Yeah.
With me.
Yeah. No. It's Wednesday. Don't do that to me. You have me second guessing
I had to-
what damn day of the week it is.
I had to do the phone tab. I'm like,
Don't do this
Wednesday?
to me. You know I'm not smart enough to trust my own instincts. My wife is beating that out of me. Never trust your gut.
Well, not only that, like the Blazers having early games throws me off entirely because now my sleep schedule goes haywire.
For sure.
It's like I don't know what day it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what day it is normally, but when you start messing with my days of the week off and then you put the Blazers on the East Coast, I definitely don't
Pretty
know.
good with days of the week.
I'm not.
I'm pretty good. What number of day? Nope. 22nd?
Yeah.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Day of the week? Dialed in.
Yeah.
You got when you have kids, you'll get there.
Well, it's the thing is
because
I went the
kids
other way.
force you to be like, "Oh boy. I have to know what day of the week it is," because look, getting kids ready for school, I have to know what day of the week it is because I need to know if it's PE day or music day because you're going to take those damn Crocs off if you're going to PE. Any PE teacher that's on his lunch break, you're welcome. You at least got one parent who cares about it, and it's me because I'm not going to send my kid to school. I can put him in sport mode. No, you can't, you idiot. You're going to put your damn shoes on.
I wonder how many injuries those are responsible for. But then again, kids are made of rubber, so. But no,
Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
I like it. I have not attempted to do anything remotely athletic in Crocs, so there's that.
See, well, good.
Yeah, no.
See, we just keep sending the second grader in her shiny pink cowboy boots.
See,
so.
you can't. Not on PE day.
Look, they got to give me that printed copy of the specials schedule. If it's a 1 through 6, and there's only 5 days in a week.
I'm gonna let you know right now. Library day. I don't care what you.
Yeah, there you go.
Or at least make it easy to find online so I can print it up and put it in the kitchen. But they make that thing.
Don't care.
I've got 2 things, and I'm going to derail the living bejesus out of us with this because you guys are going to have opinions on this for sure. Number 1, the days of the week thing disappeared for me when I was overseas, and I have never recovered because it just did not matter.
Okay.
So it has fundamentally broken me. Number 2, our worst day on the web yesterday was going to be. I believe it was a school district in somewhere in the South. God, was it Louisiana? I think it was Louisiana, where they are charging $1 a minute for late pickup. So this woman got a bill from the elementary
At a
school
public school?
for $62.
You can do that at private school.
Yeah, sure, because
Yeah.
it's their own rules. But that's the thing; it's a public school, and they're like, you can't do this.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
You can't do that unless it's an after-school program.
no, this is like straight up regular school.
Yeah, after-school programs can do that.
Yeah.
Not school.
Also,
I mean,
I know
if that's the case, the Harrahs are about to be rich.
I don't think it goes to the teacher.
Uh,
Oh,
I'm guessing.
they're the ones having to stay.
Yeah. Look, and I get it. People, parents get frustrated. Again, this is me, childless, but I used to walk home a mile every day in elementary school.
Yeah,
Was it
yeah,
uphill both ways?
yeah. They got
Always in the
laws
snow?
now, brother.
No, just one way. It was downhill there, uphill home.
Yeah. No, they got laws now. Like you can't be at home alone and stuff until you're 10. 10.
That's so crazy to me.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I get it.
You
but
can't
like,
have your kids home alone with like another. I think you have to be 12 to be a babysitter now to like leave your kids with somebody else's.
that's so
kid.
crazy. Like I remember, my parents left me home alone 6, 7, 8 years old. Like,
Yeah. Well, that explains a lot.
yeah. But you know what? The house never burned down. I never got hurt. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you didn't get hurt, but the scars still stand emotionally.
Yeah, sure. I may or may not have wondered if my pocket knife could cut the fireplace.
And there we go.
and
yeah.
there was
yeah.
a permanent mark of like a cut into the like the what you know what I'm talking about, like the white.
Yeah, I
brick.
know. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And my dad was not thrilled about that one.
Hold
That's
on.
not one you
So-
can fix.
Let's just get this clear here.
Mm.
Your childhood, like this started at such a young age that there were no red flags that maybe prison is suited for him, that you were literally doing the notches in the wall of like how many days I've been in prison when you were a child at home. And that wasn't a red flag to be like,
Home Alone, 6, 7, 8 years old with a pocket knife.
well, you have a whole set of knives in
Yeah.
the kitchen.
Not only that,
I mean,
like,
come on.
I had I was a little Boy Scout.
There
my
was a
Swiss-
little
I had my
bit
Swiss
of
Army knife.
there was a little bit of free range parenting in my house too. I remember I got dropped out because unique childhood. I would either get dropped off at home
Or a bar.
or the bus would drop me off at the bar. Which I don't think the school district would allow anymore, but
I mean,
it was a different time.
To be fair, it
Mm-hmm.
does have like a side of the facility that is open to minors. The restaurant side.
Didn't have that back when I was a kid,
Okay, I tried.
but I did live there. I lived above it.
There we go.
Yeah. But I would get dropped off either at home or the bar, and I thought I was going home, but I was supposed to be going to the bar. It wasn't that far of a walk. And so I was a kindergartner, and I vividly remember this of being like a kindergartner and going to the house and like house is all locked up. Don't know why. We lived in the country. Didn't really matter. But house is all locked up. And so I was like, you know what? All right. We had a German Shepherd named Jack. I went down and I put a leash on him. We went down to the barn, so it was like a lead rope for a horse. And I started walking down a road with no shoulder, no sidewalk.
Yeah, there's not that on that road. No.
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 And we were walking, and a farmer is sitting there up on the hill, and he goes, "Hey, are you the Harrah kid?" And I was like, "Yep." And he goes, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "To the tavern." And so he goes, "I'll give you a ride."
As a child does.
My 5-year-old intuitions, brilliant. Because you know what that German Shepherd did? Tried to bite his face off. And I was like, easy. So
I'll give you a ride in this white van with no windows.
yeah, it was a truck.
Oh, okay.
It was an old beat up truck.
Does this rag smell like chloroform?
Yeah. And so we're driving, and my mom's like speeding home, realizing I'm not at the tavern. And she's like, drives by, and she's like, "Oh my God, it's my dog. And I think there's my kid in the front seat of that car." So I got a ride.
There you go.
It was my baby's first hitchhike.
Yeah, as one does. I like it.
But I was smart enough to take the dog. So I was okay. I could have been there for a little bit.
Sure.
I could have killed some time. You know?
You're fine.
Yeah, I was smart enough to take the dog.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wasn't gonna let anybody like if you were gonna kidnap me, Jack the German Shepherd was gonna make it hurt first.
There you go.
He was a good dog. He was a good boy.
good boy.
He was a good boy. Except for people couldn't come over because he would literally just be
Gnashing the
sitting
teeth.
at the driver's side door. And if you open that door, no, bad things are gonna happen. But he was great to us.
Oh yeah,
You know?
that's the best kind of dog.
He was great. He was a good boy.
Mm.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know a good boy?
Yeah, he didn't live very long though, because German Shepherds they die quick, man.
They have a lot of things because they've been bred down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, but yeah, he could probably find drugs.
There you go.
So I don't know.
That's natural.
Yeah, shouldn't charge for the late pickup though.
That's-
I'm not opposed to it if the teacher gets the money.
There you go.
As
This is
yeah, with
forget
a-
Harrah's Casino. It's
Yeah.
Harrah's late pickup.
with
That's
a
where the real money
spouse
is.
that is a teacher, I will say. I would say
You're pro late pickup tax.
pay the teacher a little something there on the side.
Slide a little something under the table.
That's
If
right.
You're not gonna.
I mean, if it is,
What if we
do you-
start
do you
tipping
guys-
teachers like they're
well,
nail tax?
I was just gonna say, do you guys like tip the mailman or the garbage man around like Christmas time? Garbage man probably doesn't get that as much anymore because
He makes a god
well,
awful amount of money.
that
Well, that
used
and
to
the
be the
mailman
thing.
no longer comes up and drops mail like at the house. It's the
Yeah.
communal mailbox over across the street.
well, we
and
don't have
3
the
houses
same
down.
mailman every day anymore.
I don't either.
We
E- even-
we have like a
yeah,
rotation
about
of like
4 of 'em.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Well, it's
I
because
think
now
we-
there's mail delivery 7 days a week.
Yeah. So, but I think like that used to be well, I don't think. I know that used to be commonplace
Yeah.
and that's kind of gone to the wayside.
Yeah.
We should tip the teachers.
We used to tip
If
the
Burgerville
Schwann's guy.
employees can get tipped,
We tip the Alpenrose delivery guy.
Yeah, I'd say like we used
Every
to
Friday
we
when
used
he
to
drops
tip
off the milk and
the
such.
Schwann's guy
yeah.
because he would bring the delectable treats.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Those Schwann's chicken cordon bleus, the frozen ones. You ever
they
had
were
those?
good, yeah.
Those were like that was like high class cuisine as a child.
Yeah.
The cordon bleu.
I was playing golf with a bunch of buddies. This was a while ago. And the Schwann's man was driving. We were down in Medford.
Mm.
And we were at the Rogue Valley Country Club. So kind of a nice place.
Yeah.
And we were a little tipsy.
Sure.
And I have buddies sees the Schwann's man drive
was,
by,
Was he thinking ice cream?
flags him down. He's like, hey, I need a box of those ice cream Sammies.
Yes.
He's like, all right, throws it over the fence. I was like,
The PayPal through the fence.
no. This was a cash
Oh, cash
transaction.
transaction?
This is
Oh,
cash only, my
love
man.
this.
It slips like $40 through the fence, and
Hits him with a keep the change.
they were the best ice cream sandwiches I've ever
Oh,
had
yeah.
because it was one part they're really good,
Mhm.
but the second is like, how did this just happen? It made it taste better.
Quite fortuitous.
It's
Yeah.
always better when it's illicit.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Beverage cart girl isn't going to do this. And the beverage cart girl comes driving by. It's like, hey, you want one of these ice cream Sammies? She's like, where'd these come from?
That's what made the weed in high school so much better.
Schwann's man.
Because you had to do horrible, horrible things for the worst version of it.
He just went rolling right on by. And we slipped him some cash.
Yeah,
We got this bad
That's what
boy.
you do.
Yeah.
And you feel less dirty about it than the dealer back 25 years
And
ago.
I'll tell you what, my game really turned around after those
For
ice
the
cream
better or
sandwiches.
the worse?
For the better.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it
Leveled
upped
you
my
out,
game.
huh?
Leveled me up a little bit. Yeah.
Usually
it was good.
the dairy mixing with the alcohol is problematic, at least for me.
Mm-mm.
a bad choice.
Yeah, no, there's
That was just later in the day that
There's-
really got me.
there's not many things that will disrupt my little tummy.
Mm.
Mixing the dairy with the alcohol is that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So no White Russians for Mr. Meringue.
No, I don't do the White Russians, the Irish car bombs, none of the.
Really?
Oh, that's
Oh,
not even
yeah.
dairy. That's just Bailey's Irish cream and like
Yeah.
a half ounce of it. You
Yeah,
wuss.
No, I'm just I'm saying it. You put you just literally said cream. Yes, it's dairy.
You can't handle a half ounce of Bailey's Irish cream.
No, it's dairy and alcohol. Just like it's an instant bubble guts.
I can't do a lot of them. Like Suk will have like he'll just keep ordering White Russians over and over again.
White Russians.
And
I'm just
I've
like,
been at the bar and I'm
ugh.
like, okay, dude, like I'm gonna have to change this thing up because I'm gonna have diarrhea. Here
Yeah,
in a
this is
minute.
like-
how do you not?
I could go for a couple of those in a
yeah,
row.
have a couple, but not a couple of hours worth of them.
What's nice too is you take that White Russian, you add a little splash of Coca-Cola in it, and make that son of a
Yeah.
gun a Colorado Bulldog.
Yeah.
Tastes kind of like a root beer float.
Yeah, see, no, something's floating all right.
Colorado Bulldog?
Yeah.
I like it. Thank you for text line.
Yeah,
I was
what's up?
also a huge fan of Air Force Dining Facility Cordon Bleus, which I'll tell you right now,
Mm,
all the jokes about the Air Force having the better stuff,
Yeah.
they aren't jokes.
yeah.
Okay, well, so what was better, that or the elementary school cafeteria wiener wrap?
Oh no.
Ooh. Now,
The Air Force DFAC.
the
is
wiener wrap
golden.
was delicious. And
Because you guys had a special one
yeah, we did.
in your little district. I
Yeah,
remember your story.
Yeah, because we only had 2 schools in our entire school district growing up, so we had like gourmet lunches.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like a big school district. There's only 2 elementary schools in our
You
whole
didn't
district.
get any silver dollar pizza?
So they were handmade
I didn't get any silver
wiener
dollar
wraps.
pizza.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Like,
they were the
rolled
Costco
croissants?
Costco dogs.
just chopped up?
No,
Oh.
no,
Oh,
no,
whole,
no.
whole dog?
brother,
Oh, man.
wrapped in yes, it was amazing.
Bro.
Yeah, believe me, when the district combined with the Hillsborough School District, there was
sad place.
buddy, there was an upheaval in that cafeteria.
The thing we looked forward to in elementary school and was, number one, the CFS, chicken fried steak,
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, the chicken fried steak was also a
and
classic.
the orange vanilla creamsicle cups. With
the wooden spoons.
Yes.
Dude, I love those wooden
Those,
spoons.
those were the undefeated meals.
Yeah, we also had occasionally there'd be a Friday. It was gumdrop day. So if you find a gumdrop in the middle of your like dinner roll, you got to go in there and get a ice cream bar. That was
I
fantastic.
remember that.
That
Yeah.
like goes totally counter to what every school teaches you now, though. Of like, hey, check your Halloween candy. There might be something in there. Like
Back then, that was
back
the
then, it
hope.
was like, oh yeah, let's see what this gummy takes. See where this gummy takes me.
They're not
To
gonna
the moon.
get you at the school cafeteria
That's what they want you to think, Russ.
It's where you get the good ones.
unless you got old Chonger in the back there.
Be a lot
Hey,
cooler if
man.
you did.
Hey man.
Effing vodka, man.
All right, let's get this show on the road.
No one of these 100 milligrams. Don't mess with these kids anymore.
Yeah. Ooh, great text on the Vancouver Ford text line. Wiener Rap sounds like a band Rust would listen to. That is
Oh, for sure.
100% correct.
I can get, yeah,
They
I'll go
opened
behind
for
that.
Me First in the Gimme Gimmes.
absolutely.
Me First in the Gimme Gimmes featuring Wiener Rap.
There's definitely somebody playing a trumpet in that band. 100%. 100%.
All right. Or a flute. All right, here we go. The Blazers stumble into a win last night in Miami. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Portland Trailblazers pull off a victory last night in Miami. Not really expected, but Tyler Hero didn't play in the 116-107 win for the Blazers.
No, just the other two All-NBA guys instead.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler went out there in his Phoenix Suns shoes and
Shaved points.
but he was bad when he was on the floor.
I mean, yeah. What did they think was going to happen? What did they think was going to happen?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just him and Bam were both bad.
Yeah, what's going on with Bam Adebayo though?
Bam,
He didn't play in the fourth quarter.
No, and to be honest, Bam's been bad this year. Like,
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know what's going on. Clearly, the vibes there aren't great. Excuse me. I would imagine that. Well, the whole people surprised by the Jimmy thing beyond it being Jimmy. We talked about this literally a year ago, coming out of the summer,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, it's gonna go bad there. Like behind the scenes, Jimmy is pissed, and he kept it quiet for a year.
Yeah, which that's surprising. He went a whole year.
I say he kept it quiet publicly for a year. And if you don't think that like Bam's sitting there watching that and seeing what's happened in the past and seeing what's happened before, like he sits there and goes, yeah, they haven't added anybody else, and anybody else who's been good, they've let go. So like the whole Heat culture thing, yeah, there is a Heat culture, but beyond like being militaristic and getting after it and Spo being the coach, it's also chewing you up and spitting you out when they think that you don't have enough left.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like the business is the business. That's always going to be the nature of the
Yeah,
beast.
that's really any elite franchise in professional sports.
But they also
that's what they do is like they will push you out before your final days so they can get something for you. But they
also
kick
make
you
it
to the curb.
nasty.
Yeah.
And there's no one is immune to it.
Yeah.
It's cutthroat.
Mm-hmm.
When they say the business is the business, they mean it there.
Yeah.
And some people are like, yeah, good. If you tried to operate like that in Portland, you wouldn't last.
Yeah.
This fan base would not stand for that.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, I don't think it's good or bad. There's a reason why there's only one Miami, because they run that thing with an iron fist. But that iron fist is relaxing. Like Pat is getting out-egoed by Jimmy Butler, and he's going to lose.
Do you think that's a problem in the NBA though?
Yes.
Because this is where I don't know if this is sustainable because
They have too much power.
league-wide, they have ceded way too much power to guys that think they're Michael Jordan, and that
Even if they are, they shouldn't.
Michael
have this
Jordan,
power.
but Michael Jordan did.
Yeah.
And then
But he didn't even wield that power like this.
But we have now guys that are nowhere near the top player in the NBA that are doing this time and time and time again. I mean, we can go, Jimmy Butler is doing it. Joel Embiid has done it in Philly. We have Anthony Edwards in Minnesota.
Getting snippy about stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can go down the list of guys, and like we haven't mentioned LeBron James, but this is like LeBron James's entire career.
Well, that's where
but he may be the
it
guy
came
who's
from.
like worthy of it.
Yeah, but that's also where this came from. And
Kyrie Irving, James Harden,
I think
Kevin Durant.
I think we're the tail end of this. I really do. That's what this CBA has done. And the only reason that this is happening is because it is this perfect confluence of events where Jimmy can pick up a $52 million option and tell the Heat to go bleep themselves. You want to mess around? You want to try to find me for $52 million?
Check Jimmy out.
Yeah, I can make this miserable for another year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hilarious because he's become the meme, but he is the one besides James Harden who will make this unabashedly toxic.
Jimmy's ready.
Yeah.
It is the thing that, I've been talking to folks behind the scenes before this one happened. I was like, Jimmy's winding this up. I'm telling you, it's going to get bad. And he it was like, oh, what are you going to do? I'm like, watch. Like, what do you mean? What can he do? We've seen him do it at 3 other stops. He can make life hell for everyone. Now, 99.9% of players won't do that. Like, here's a recent one that they tried. They tried to start the fires around De'Aaron Fox. And that was in De'Aaron Fox is represented by Clutch. And in the past, you went to Clutch when you wanted something. That's what you would transfer to Clutch as to be a representative because they had the pry bar to get you out of there. The new CBA says, good luck. Like, if you want to get out of somewhere, you have to get nasty. And nobody else wants to do that because Jimmy has made a reputation on doing that, but he's also made a reputation of being successful.
But has he?
I mean, he backpacked a team to back-to-back NBA finals.
But
with
he's
no
never
business doing
Yeah,
it.
but he has never gotten over that hump. And I think a lot of it has to do with the person that he is.
I think the biggest part is talent deficit.
But
Go look at the teams that he took.
no, I understand that, but he got to the NBA Finals twice.
Yeah.
He absolutely has. Has it been worth it?
I-
Organizationally for Miami?
I think if you talk to anyone in that office, even with dealing with this, the answer is yes. Because in their mind, it's a means to an end.
But they haven't gotten to the end.
I mean, if you're getting to the finals, you're getting to the finals. Like, if this Blazers team got to the finals twice in the Damian Lillard era, that is a massive success.
Well, absolutely it
But
is.
that's-
But,
but that's what I
there's
mean.
also a sliding scale of expectations to Miami, which they get there.
No, I get it, but that's the thing is that
And they were in a title window where it was like,
and they didn't do the things necessary to win.
yeah, but I think that is also on Jimmy. Jimmy, as you said, backpacked that team. He's a really good player,
Mm-hmm.
but the other stuff is what gets people over the hump.
I push back on that just because Miami didn't do the necessary things because their owner was broke. For those that don't know, Mickey Arison, while worth a lot of money, if you think about during COVID, he owns Carnival Cruises.
Mm-hmm.
He lost millions upon millions upon millions of dollars.
Who's going to be a team that says we can fix Jimmy Butler? Because
Phoenix. It's not even like
Buddy.
they think they want it to happen.
Well, isn't that draft pick trade kind of a
yeah,
harbinger of
the
things likely to come?
Let's
Yeah.
get to that because there was. By the way, Blazers won. I'm not happy about it. Rust, are you happy about it?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
They're not even good at being bad.
But this goes to the point of they can play well. They did it on the road.
There you go.
They're still competing.
Kind of.
15 of 28.
There you
All right. But Phoenix did pull the trigger on a trade, and Danny Ainge is, if that man had a mustache, it would have twirls on the end of
Oh
it.
God.
And I feel like he would have a monocle.
It's probably tying some damsel in distress on a railroad track.
I'll tell you what, he is twisting that mustache right now because he pulled one over on the Phoenix Suns again. We'll get to that after Rust with SportsCenter.
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge, online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It is hard to stop a train. First on the Fan, Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting the Jets hiring Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn to fill their head coaching vacancy. Elsewhere in the NFL, ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting 9-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Khalil Mack will play in the 2025 season. The 2016 Defensive Player of the Year set to be an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his 11-year career. Schefter also reporting Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen taking himself out of consideration for the Jaguars head coaching job in what is likely a related move. Jacksonville announced they have parted ways with general manager Trent Baalke. The Chiefs head coach Andy Reid says wide receiver Mecole Hardman will remain on injured reserve and will not return at any point in these playoffs. Over in the association, the Trailblazers have won 2 straight after putting away the Heat in the third quarter last night in Miami. Portland now off until a back-to-back tomorrow in Orlando and Friday in Charlotte. The team announced today they have recalled Ryan Rupert from the Rip City remix, and ESPN's Shams Charania reporting Maverick center Derek Lively sustained a small fracture in his foot and is expected to miss 2 to 3 months. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
The Phoenix Suns have sent a 2031 unprotected pick to the Utah Jazz. In return, Phoenix gets something that they don't have.
Multiple picks.
Tradable draft picks. They get 3 first-rounders that are heavily protected. It is the worst of... I hate how the NBA does this.
Cleveland, Minnesota, or Utah's picks.
Whatever the worst one is of those 3 teams,
In those 3 given years.
they get the worst
So,
pick.
to
out
put
of
this
them.
in perspective, if Cleveland finishes with the best team as the finals champion, you would get the 30th. Let's say that the Timberwolves finish 15th and the Suns finished 8th.
Look, they're getting it. Will
You're
be,
getting Cavs.
Let's be
picks.
honest here with the way that this is playing out. 24 through 30.
Yeah, you're getting Cavs picks, and there's a very strong likelihood. And here was the thing: when they made the trade with the Cavs to send Donovan Mitchell there, there was this is before the new CBA. There was a very strong belief that Donovan Mitchell was only going to be there for 2 years, and he would be in New York.
Ooh.
That's the reason they did the deal.
Guess what? He's not.
He's not, and so they're leveraging that now and going, you know what? Those picks aren't going to be that good. And they aren't going to be that valuable to us. You know what is valuable to us? If we are building towards something and we are in a place where we can be very successful, like in the prime of our rebuild, and that is in 2031, a wholly unprotected pick from the Suns, who right now have 0 assets, and their only way of getting out of this is trading away Devin Booker.
And oh boy. Well, isn't there the rumblings though that Bradley Beal is open to waiving his no trade clause if it is to few select teams, and one of them being Miami?
Yeah, I mean, for very obvious reasons. His income tax-free rate of $50 million would be mwah!
Bingo. Doesn't make sense to Miami though,
no,
as much, unless they really want
picks that aren't that
picks
good.
that aren't that good.
Yeah,
But
and this is what it sounds like. And I don't think it's going to end up being a 1-to-1. I was talking to somebody last
maybe they
night.
could get Dame finally.
Yeah. What's going to be really funny is when Beal ends up in Milwaukee, and the Heat plan to get both Dame and Beal ends up actually being Milwaukee's plan. Milwaukee is a team that's interested. So the 4-way structure, some version of it, involves Phoenix, Miami, Detroit, Milwaukee. I've heard up to 5 teams in a potential deal.
So it'll never happen.
The more teams that get involved, the less likely it is to occur.
Yep.
But it appears that there is motivation from multiple sides to get things done. I would just love to see the Miami Heat get next to nothing out of Jimmy Butler after all of the nonsense.
Oh, really?
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be very fun.
Is Tyler Hero going to wind up in Milwaukee too?
Back home, baby.
Well, they're pushing all in. Like Tyler Hero
He's their guy now.
is their guy.
Which is actually something Jimmy Butler said he was mad about. So, but yeah, so that the Jimmy Butler stuff is there. I dove into the Blazers trade deadline stuff on the Patreon. If you want to check that out, Jack Ramsey's Patreon. There's a deep dive into each player that's potentially on the block.
I have a question though about this with the 5 teams, 4 teams. Those have always been trade killers. Is the more teams that you needed to have, the worse the likelihood was,
because
that you were
everybody
gonna get...
has their own goals and everybody has their own thing that they want to accomplish, and then to help somebody out, somebody wants an extra pound of flesh, and then just bleh.
But with the new CBA, it's very prohibitive to go for a 1-for-1 and just have a 2-team trade. Are we gonna have to see these teams get on the same page and
all the teams that are up in like the first and second aprons? Yes, because it's not as. What's funny was I was talking to a player the other day, and players don't understand the ramifications of the new CBA, and
you don't say.
No, and I mean, talking to some agents don't even fully grasp it. I can tell you this: they all don't like CJ McCollum for signing this deal. That was just something they were all standing strong on.
Well, maybe their hate is fueling him because he's playing really well right now.
Right? Yeah, his term as union president comes to an end at the end of the season. But the interesting thing was I was talking to a player and he was like, "So if I wanted to go here or here, it couldn't just be for like salaries." I go, "No, like that team can't even make moves. They're in the second apron, man. Like you know, like that, absolutely not." He's like, "Well, why?" And I kind of like walked him through and like, this is the thing that you can't do, and this is why you can't do that. And he's like, "Oh, well, that kind of sucks." I was like, "Yeah." So you have to be very specific with where you like, if you're behind the scenes and you're trying to move somewhere, how you target it, where you target, why you target it. And it's not just about like getting to LA or Miami. It's getting to the right team that has contract space opening up so that you can get paid on your next deal and sets you up kind of for the future as far as like basketball. Like that's guys are in the past it was like, let's go play with my buddies.
Yeah.
We can force something. I can set up a deal, this, that, or the other, where our contracts expire at the same time, a la LeBron James, and come together in Miami or come together in Los Angeles, or, we can force some trades here or there because we can just make things work. That's not the case anymore. That's just not like across the league. Now, over the next couple of years, number one, I very strongly believe they're going to reopen the CBA and make it to where things are a little bit easier to get done. Make the second apron significantly less punitive while still operating as somewhat of a hard cap. The other part of this is you're going to see player salaries come down. Like the guys like the Zach LaVines of the world, the Brandon Ingram's of the world, those aren't going to exist anymore. They're going to get significantly less. That makes those guys more viable in deals. Like you're going to see a slotting. The middle class kind of disappeared in the NBA. And I mean the traditional middle class, not like the mid-level exception. Like I'm talking like the $18 to $25 million. Like that just, there's only so many of those guys. Now I think you're going to see a lot more of those guys, and you're going to see the guys that are in that range get knocked down a little bit, and it's going to be interesting to kind of see how that shakes out.
Kind of hurt though the Blazers because they had contracts that were viewed as middle class, and now they're not as valuable anymore because they're going to be the norm.
That's going to be the
you
interesting
can't
part of
really
this.
trade for them right now.
And that's where my whole thing on where the Blazers stand on the trade deadline is. They're not going to be like, I have not heard them come up in the Jimmy Butler trade, like as a facilitator or anything along those lines. The way I've heard them discussed is whatever team doesn't get Jimmy Butler or parts in that trade, they end up working as a team for the secondary teams. The teams that are chasing Cam Johnson, there's going to be only one team gets Cam Johnson. Does another team go, crap, we missed out on Cam Johnson, we need to find the next guy in line? And then do you win that race? Like that's kind of where things appear to be around the league. So it's an interesting spot just for those deals because I feel like it's one of those things where somebody's got a finger in the hole in the dam.
Yeah.
And if they take it out, you could see a bunch of deals made. But I don't know if deals are going to get made.
It doesn't sound like the boon that Blazer fans were hoping for.
No, and I think, look, again, the thing that we've kind of prefaced here is if you see a bunch of contracts that are around Jeremy and Ant get moved, and the Blazers aren't one of them, then, and I shouldn't say that, deals just for the sake of deals aren't good. But if you see deals that make sense, a bunch of them around, and the Blazers aren't involved, then you start raising an eyebrow.
Yeah.
Coming whole cloth back, circle back to the Miami game, boy, the Blazers played well.
They did.
They played really well.
Scoot did not score.
For
for me to say it might have been his best game. 8 assists, 11 points,
Yes.
like efficient 11 points too.
Completely in the flow. He had a plan. He knew when Ant was hot, get him the ball. When Jeremy was going, get him the ball. When to start the game, get DA going. Like he kept things going.
And he didn't turn the ball
No,
over.
only had they only had 2 turnovers in the night. And the Blazers, for the first time since 2019, didn't have a turnover in the first half.
Really?
Oh, they played a clean game.
Wow.
That first half was about as good as you could get.
Outside of almost giving up 40 in the first quarter, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, both teams didn't play any defense in the first quarter. Like, it was defense optional.
Hey, you're not going to turn the ball over if you're not playing defense.
No, get up and down, have some fun.
All right. Okay, well, way to go, Blazers. Way to go. Golf clap.
There you go. Now go lose the next 8 games in a row.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe that will happen.
It's a start.
Hey, it is championship week here on The Fan, and we have a championship week update for you. Nick Sirianni with a big health update on 2 players that they're going to need if they're going to want to knock off the Rook and the Washington Commanders. Danny and Dusty on The Fan. Nick Sirianni updating the status of both Jalen Hurts and Quinyon Mitchell ahead of the NFC Championship game this weekend. Jalen Hurts' left knee, that was gnarly when he got bent backwards. And I was like, how is his leg still alive? I thought they were going to have to amputate. He got bent, like rolled up on, we see that with like linemen all the time, where you get rolled up on like that. Nope, not a good situation. But he ended up bending over backwards, and he toughed it out. But he was not the same. And like that's where his numbers were. I was like, yeah, a little bit dinged up late in that game. That's a concern heading into this one because Jalen Hurts' legs obviously a massive factor for the offense in Philly, and they talked about it in the broadcast, like a little bit of hesitancy to do the tush push because of Jalen Hurts not being able to get that leverage. Because I don't know if you know this, he can squat 600 pounds.
Yeah, no, I may or may not have heard that once before.
Yeah. Did you know Jerome Bettis is from Detroit?
Interesting.
Did you know that Tim Tebow went on did missionary work to circumcise children while he was at the University of Florida? Did you know all these things?
Kevin Love from Oregon.
Yeah, did you know that?
Yeah. Are there any more like heavily repeated tropes than those? Is there a Tiger Woods one we're missing?
But
It's a Tiger one that I'm thinking.
Well, he used to golf with his dad. He used to go out on the country club with his dad. Turns out that was a little bit more than we thought at the time. No, but that knee injury is of concern. But Nick Sirianni did say
because
that
it's a big part of what they do. It's not like, and it's not even the Lamar Jackson type stuff of like improvising or designed runs where it's like this is a guy who's your +1 in the running game, like between the tackles type stuff. Like he's for all of my criticisms, as it were, of Jalen Hurts. Like the things that he does do is like he's a running back there.
Yep.
Like he runs with intent and through contact. And the breakaway run he had against the Rams was like, oh, that's different. Like it's a designed run where everybody thinks it's going one way and pulls it back and let me take off be like a running back in the open field. And like, if that's not something you can utilize or you can go to, or even flag that, it's possible.
Yeah.
Like, because if his knee's cooked, and it could be, you can't even fake it.
Well, he's going to be going through walkthrough today for the Eagles. And Quinyon Mitchell, which I think that's a huge injury too.
Yeah.
Quinyon Mitchell,
he's been fantastic for them.
With a shoulder injury, will also be available for walkthrough. They're going to need both those guys if they're going to win the NFC Championship game. I can't believe I'm saying.
For
a chance to beat the Commanders,
it's crazy.
They're going to need Quinyon Mitchell and obviously Jalen Hurts. That's a huge one because you do not want to roll Kenny Pickett out there for your chances to go to a Super Bowl. Kenny Pickett.
That's tough.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, I don't see that one. I don't see that one working out well. I don't care how good the ground game is.
No.
Yeah, it's tough.
No.
Although, teams have stacked the box against Saquon like his entire career in New York, and he was still really effective.
Sure, but maybe you just tell Kenny, all right, drop back, yell 500, throw the ball as far as you can.
YOLO.
Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown might get it. Just go do that.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the NFC
Has anybody
Championship
tried that in a
game.
while? It's been a while since we've had that.
Yeah.
I like a good 500 throw. Will Howard's throw to Jeremiah Smith to secure the title game, that was a bit of a 500 throw.
No, it wasn't. You want to know why? Because Jeremiah Smith said, if you play man, I will beat you. Like, he's been telling everybody the entire playoffs, like, play man, I dare you to. We will throw the ball up and I will go and get it. That's not a, hey, this is a prayer. That is, nope, that's what we do.
No, but
and
Will Howard,
you're gonna get beat.
Will Howard did have the look of every dude we ever grew up with who played 500 when he threw that ball. The angle at which he turned, when you play 500, you have to kind of like dip the hip all the way back. Like point one shoulder at the sky type stuff.
Yeah.
That's what he did. Which, I mean, that ball, I can't remember last time I say ball, though, that high.
You have to throw it far enough to where if you have a playmaker like that, though, that's the way your quarterback should throw that ball. Because if you have a guy who's bigger, stronger, and faster, he's going to go up high point. It's exactly what Matthew Stafford did with Calvin Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Which he did. I love hearing the interviews when they talk about that. Like, no, there were plays where he just literally said, go.
Yeah. And it was
like,
I'm going to go let my guy make a play. What do you want him to
that's
put?
an insane thing in the NFL to be like, just go.
Do you want him to like put touch on it and like have a DB get in the way? No. Just let her rip.
Speaking of Stafford,
win.
I don't think we talked about this in the game the other day. That was one of the was it Higbee that just completely freestyled a play in the end zone to turn into a touchdown?
Yeah.
That's such an insane thing. He just looked around, was like, I was waiting for him to block, and I'm just gonna flare out, and Stafford just throws a rope to him.
Tight ends have that leeway. And look, you saw it also with Detroit as well. They do that with their running backs, and everybody's like, I mean, Kelsey and Mahomes are the best at this, right? Where it's like improvise the route, find a soft spot, and you're going to be open. Running backs and tight ends, and sometimes slot receivers, like Julian Edelman used to be really good at this with
sitting
Brady,
down in that spot.
is your quarterback has to know it, and it's not like it's just like miraculous, but if they are aware that, hey, if you have nothing to do, find work. Go find work. And we saw Jared Goff has done this, like, he did it against the Commanders, and he did it the week before, where he'd be like scrambling and be like, "Oh, hey, look, running back," and everybody's like, "Look at that, that's crazy." It's something you practice.
Yeah, it's not schemed, but it's there.
Yeah, find work.
Yeah.
Go be useful out there. Don't just be a wasted body. And Higbee did it, dude. Touchdowns are awesome.
It was just insane because of the way Stafford, because he's right-handed rolling to his left.
Yeah.
Was your progression is, from middle out for him to get back to middle after going nope. There, it's like, oh, that's different.
Yeah, and to do it with broken ribs, apparently.
Yeah, that came out. His wife saying well, I mean, it makes sense when he got hit and went to the sideline and you were like, what's wrong with him?
Kelly Stafford, I wonder how many times Matthew Stafford goes home and is like, really? We're doing this again?
Can you stay off the internet?
Can you not just put it all out there on the podcast? But this is the time that happens. He's like, my agent is supposed to leak this, not
you.
my wife on her podcast. All right, let's get to hour number 2. As the carousel turns, we've got teams still firing people, and we got some movement. Jobs are being snatched up around the NFL. And whoa, Nelly, this is a big one. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
questions. Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, some news from around the NFL. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting the Jets are hiring Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn to fill their head coaching vacancy. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting 9-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Khalil Mack will play in the 2025 season. The 2016 Defensive Player of the Year is set to be an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his 11-year career. Schefter also reporting Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen taking himself out of consideration for the Jaguars head coaching job, and in what is likely a related move, Jacksonville announced they have parted ways with general manager Trent Baalke. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid says wide receiver Mecole Hardman will remain on injured reserve and will not return for the playoffs. Over in the association, the Trailblazers, winners of 2 straight after putting away the Heat in the third quarter last night in Miami. Portland now off until a back-to-back tomorrow in Orlando, Friday in Charlotte. The team announced today they've recalled Ryan Rupert from the Rip City remix, and ESPN Shams Charania reporting Maverick center Derek Lively sustained a small fracture in his foot and is expected to miss 2 to 3 months. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
It's The Fan on FM. Go to 99.5 FM HD2 and enjoy high def 1080 The Fan. We're getting you ready for pro football's Final Four.
You know what's going to take? 60 minutes of physical football. Our very best.
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design, a trusted local architectural design studio ready to bring your dream home to life. Visit smartlinehomedesign.com.
Danny and Dusty on 1080.
Our 11 versus their 11 for 60 minutes.
The Fan.
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Wednesday afternoon. A Wrestling Wednesday. Oh, yeah, brother. Thank you for being a part of our
Good time.
day. All right. We got the hiring and firing cycle going around. The Detroit Lions will officially have 2 new coordinators that they need to hire, as Aaron Glenn has accepted the New York Jets head coaching job today. This on the heels of Ben Johnson Monday taking the Chicago Bears head coaching role. So both coordinators are out, and that ain't even the worst of it for Detroit.
No, they've also lost additional personnel.
Yeah, their defensive line coach is being hired away.
Where to? Perhaps Dusty?
Oh, the New England Patriots.
Oh.
Yeah, to be the defensive coordinator under Mike Vrabel.
Why? Because he may or may not have worked with Vrabel for 5 years?
Yep.
Oh.
And this goes back to, like, I hope it wasn't just that magic of having the right staff with the right personnel and things clicking. I hope that they can continue in Detroit to be as good as they have been.
That Alabama staff where you looked at the staff and you went, oh, good God.
It's really hard to do, man. It's really hard to keep it rolling, and that's going to be the task that Dan Campbell has in front of him. And look, there also is like this awareness that Ben Johnson, he could have left last year. He was the hottest name on the cycle last year, and he was like, nope, I'm going to come back. I'm going to do it. We want to make one final run at it. This year wasn't the year. And now you've got to start moving forward and looking at, all right, how does Detroit and Dan Campbell put a staff together that can maximize the talent around him? Because that's hard to do when you don't have the quarterback.
Yeah, not only that, you look at, now that Glenn and Johnson are both officially gone, because you don't know. Because Ben Johnson, like last year, they didn't know.
Yeah.
Because, at this point last year, we all thought Ben Johnson was gone.
Yeah.
Like, we thought that there was a strong chance that he was either Chicago or Washington. And neither of those happened, and then he ends up back in the fold with Detroit. Now you're this far into the hiring cycle, and who do you go get?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you could probably get Aaron Glenn again in a couple of years because it's the Jets.
It's true, but he did just sign a literal 5-year deal with the Jets.
I'll still fire him.
Oh, I know, yeah, but good financial security for him. The offset for the Lions when he comes back is great.
It's going to be awesome,
right?
Yeah,
they don't have to pay him anything.
I'm happy for Aaron Glenn, man. He was a first-round pick of the Jets. He gets to go back there, and look, it's an uphill climb. I don't know what New York is doing. They continue to make defensive coach hires. I mean, you were talking about this yesterday with Chicago, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've at least dabbled in the offensive coaches every now and then, but I mean, that seems to be the Jets' identity too. Is we're going to go get a really good defensive coach, and I don't know, we're just going to let our offense blow in the wind.
Yeah, and I just I get it. Aaron Glenn takes this job because one, he's familiar with the organization, but two, if as a defensive guy, you want some pieces to work with.
You got pieces.
Do they have pieces to work with? Yes.
They got the pieces.
Because they've got a stud on the defensive line, they've got a stud pass rusher, and they've got arguably the best corner in the NFL.
Yes.
Like, at all three levels, it's not like you've got, like, some stuff. Like, no, you have premium players at all three levels.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Jets and defensive coaches, since the end of the 2000 season, and including now Aaron Glenn, six of their 7 head coaching hires have been first-time head coaches with defensive backgrounds. Herm Edwards, Eric Mangini, Rex Ryan, Todd Bowles, Robert Saleh, and now Aaron Glenn. And the lone exception was Adam Gase.
He worked out really well, though. I wouldn't go back to an offensive coach after Adam Gase. So it makes sense.
Yeah. We tried it once. It was so bad. We're never going there again.
Oh, come on,
No,
Nathaniel
we're not
Hackett
doing that
was right
again.
there.
They're like, no, we're not doing that again. We're not going to go down that road. I'm not going to go down that road. Yeah, for the Jets, they do have pieces on defense. Look, I don't know. Aaron Glenn, does this mean Aaron Rodgers is coming back? Is that what he's going to be like? Hey, Aaron, my name's Aaron too. Maybe you won't hate me and turn on me immediately. I don't think that will work. The quarterback is the most important position in all of sports. They've got to figure out that quarterback spot.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for them, it's like they can't really dip into the retread well even because what are you going to do?
Bring Sam Darnold back?
Well, no, think of the guys that are out there. It's either Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones. New Yorkers will not like either one of those guys.
No. Especially after the seeing ghosts from Darnold at the end of the season. They're like, no. You're not bringing him back to the haunted house.
Yeah, you're not going to.
No.
Scooby is not going back in that home.
Ruh-roh.
So, Aaron Glenn to the Jets. Good hire.
Get the bag.
Golf clap. Good
No,
job.
like I think they did the right thing.
They got
The best possible coach available,
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well,
For them.
see, the guy that I really love, but you're never going to bring him in because of the Aaron Rodgers situation that you have and no quarterback. I like Liam Cohen, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator, and we talked about this for a while now.
Yeah.
Well, since they fired Doug Peterson, is that there is something with the Jacksonville Jaguars organization that they may say the right things, they may even do the right things,
Or even just attempt to do the right things.
but it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And it's like always, it seems like maybe their order of operations is all out of whack, right?
Mhm.
And then we were like, what is going on there? Then we had Shad Khan in a group Zoom interview say that, asked by a reporter, what would it take to move on from your GM? And he said, well, a new coach, could convince me that we do need a new GM, but, he'd have to say all the right things. His GM, Trent Baalke, was on the Zoom call with him.
Mm-hmm. And the look of like, oh crap, that washed over his face.
Well, this morning we find out Liam Cohen, who was the odds-on favorite to land that Jags head coaching job, turned it down to return to Tampa as an offensive coordinator. Now, Todd Bowles apparently went to ownership of the Buccaneers and made a compelling case that, hey, we lost Dave Canales last year. We can't lose Liam Cohen this year. He's bright. He's young. He's a really good play caller. And by all accounts, the Bucs ponied up substantial money to keep Liam Cohen as the OC.
Which, if you're motivated to, yeah, do it.
Well,
And good shouts to Liam Cohen for having the leverage because of another organization.
Well, the Jags also fired Trent Baalke within hours of that report of Liam Cohen turning down the Jags job.
Yeah.
They finally fired their GM. That is where it goes back to the order of operations are out of whack with this Jags team. Like, they say functional things. Oftentimes they do the right thing. Like, this was the right move, right? You did it all out of whack, though.
Yeah.
And this is where they keep running into the brick wall.
It's not running over the spike strip, it's stepping on the rake. It's like it's painful and it should deter you, but it doesn't. This is the statement from Shad Khan that was given to Adam Schefter. Following several discussions with Trent Baalke this week, we both arrived at the conclusion it is in our mutual best interest to respectfully separate, effective immediately.
Yikes.
Trent leaves us with my deepest appreciation for his efforts over the past 5 seasons. They nominate the interim GM, and then he goes on with the normal. I am deeply committed to building a winner here in Jacksonville and look forward to introducing a new head coach who will make that happen for our players and fans alike. Which seems kind of interesting. It's like, hire the GM first, hire the GM first, hire the GM first, which I'm glad the Raiders did.
Yeah. There's also...
Well, see, the thing is, it's not even just driving over the spikes. It's driving over the spikes and then going, oh, wait, what was that? I better back up and go check again.
Yeah.
And then, oh, yep, that was spikes. Let me go forward again.
And then you drive
Still
a
no
mile down the road and go, do we have a flat tire? Is this thing flat?
I thought you said these are run flats. Yeah, well, yeah, they last a little while, but
who knew?
Yeah.
There is also kind of this buzz going around with Liam Cohen, too, that he may have not wanted to be a head coach anyways, and this may have just been
a way to make some money.
Him to get a bump, because he's actually going around this in a really smart way. In that Liam Cohen he hasn't been an offensive coordinator long. He's only been 1 year as an OC, okay? Because Dave Canales was the OC last year. He went up to Carolina as the head coach. He is only 39 years old, which is still in coaching circles young, even though he's not like Sean McVay wunderkind. He is still a young coach in the NFL. He said that he wants to grow his coaching circle because he came from the college ranks and he doesn't have like the NFL background that a lot of these guys who are 39 and become head coaches have. He was at Kentucky prior to going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Prior to that, he was with the Rams for just 2 years. Then he went to Kentucky, and now he's with the Bucs. Like, he doesn't have, like, if he were to say, all right, Danny, you're hired. Who are you hiring? He's like, well, don't really have those connections yet because didn't see this coming.
Well, not only that, I think we've started to see this pattern emerge from younger OCs. Well, I mean, it's younger coordinators in general. They're getting smarter. Instead of just latching onto the new best thing, working your way up the corporate ladder in the NFL, they're looking at what you're talking about, like having those connections and being able to build a staff and the right situation and the right opportunity and the right general manager and the right owner and the right tools. Like things are starting to matter to people.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, this isn't something where it's like, I must be a head coach. And it's like, yeah, that's how you get the Josh McDaniels of the world. That's how you get the, the Broncos head coach.
Also Josh
Hackett.
McDaniels.
Well, Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
When we saw game 1, this dude is no business being a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
And it was like, I wonder if seeing some of these coaches fail so miserably as head coaches over the last couple of years has trickled down to some of these assistants and these coordinators.
Awareness.
And being like, grass ain't always greener, man.
Well, I think overall in coaching, you're seeing that. I've been saying this for years, that this was coming down the pipeline. We saw Chip Kelly give up a head coaching job to go and be an offensive coordinator. Hafley, the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, he was the head coach at Boston College just a year ago. So, I mean, you do see this in the college ranks. In the NFL, I think that you see it quite often. And look, everybody criticizes, Mike Tomlin for not having this coaching tree. You know what Mike Tomlin has is he has a bunch of guys who it's not about a coaching tree. It's about awareness and being great at where you're at and being a defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator. Sometimes that's what you need, right? Is just to have those guys on staff who are rank and file guys, not trying to go and be something more. And you're going to see a little bit more of that across all levels of football. You don't have to be the head coach. Hey, we have a power shift in college football. And the one person who did not want to admit it, he had to admit it. And I feel like you'll be able to hear the pain in his voice. We'll get to that next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Basic thugonomics. Word life.
The Ohio State Buckeyes won the national title on Monday night over Notre Dame. And I don't know if you noticed this, but the last 2 years in the college football playoff, there has not been an SEC team even in the championship game.
That's a shame.
And last year it was Michigan, Washington. This year it's Notre Dame, Ohio State. And the winner of both of those games was the Big Ten team. Michigan in 2024, 2025, it is the Ohio State Buckeyes. And the man who considers himself the most educated football fan in America, though I question that, SEC homer himself, Mr. Paul Feinbaum, was asked by Mike Greenberg on Get Up about the maybe shift in power in the world of college football.
Does the Big Ten own college football?
The answer, Greeny, is yes. The Big Ten at the moment owns college football, and there's no way you can say it doesn't. When you go back to back, that's generational. In Ohio State's case, they beat 2 SEC schools along the way. And there's an old saying that was emanated in 1828 when Andrew Jackson was elected president. A senator from New York said, "To the victor belongs the spoils." And that's exactly where the Big Ten is this morning. It's an uncomfortable feeling for the SEC, which has owned the sport, but it's a reality this morning.
When Andrew Jackson was elected president, not a great president that Andrew Jackson was. But
that's a good thing. That's the one my family's related to.
That's tough. That is something that you could hear the pain in Paul Feinbaum's voice when he had to admit the fact the SEC does not hold the power in college football anymore.
I mean, we talked about the democratization, as it were, of college football. We've talked about this for the last couple of years. That's what's happened. Is there's the SEC is no longer capable or able to hoard talent on a level heretofore unseen.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one to go back to is Georgia, when they were 3 deep everywhere.
Well, that's why it's so widely mocked when Nick Saban went on Monday and criticized NIL and said the people out there need to know this model's unsustainable. Which he's right. It's not a sustainable model. But he said it's not good for players. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
It absolutely is good for players.
Because they're getting a lot more, because we all know you were paying them a lot less.
He said it has to be done in a way where there's some kind of competitive balance. Every school must have the same thing. One school can't spend $30 million for players while another school is spending $3 million.
Yeah, because you're broke boys. That's the thing. It's like, as much as the SEC, it just means more down here. When they were giving out bags that were more, it was 200,000 versus 300,000, not 2 million versus 3 million.
And you were
in those Big Ten schools, they got a lot more. Michigan and Ohio State have more alumni than anyone else.
Well, here is where nobody in the SEC wants to admit this part too. They're saying that they're not fundraising at the level of those other schools at, the $20 million roster at Ohio State. Well, that's because the money that was going to players, it was like about $3 million, right? Mm-hmm. Tax-free under the table.
Mm-hmm.
That money was still going to players.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. When Nick Saban says that, it's like, well, you can't be spending, $30 million on a roster for one team and only $3 million on another. What was Nick Saban paid as the head coach at Alabama?
Yeah, was it $15 million a year?
Okay. I think it was closer to 11, and then his endorsements and stuff bumped that up, right?
No, it was his last year he got 15 because he got matched to the highest contract.
You know what, though? Don't you think it's a little unfair, Nick, that Alabama could pay you that salary, but poor little Oregon State, they can't do that to their coach. Maybe you should get you're right, Nick. It's not fair. to these adults.
Yes, you should probably give your money back, Nick.
We should have no competitive advantage anywhere.
You used it to buy another 16 Cadillac dealerships?
Is it a competitive? It's just unfair that Oregon has these great facilities and Mississippi State doesn't.
Huh.
What is he talking about? Like, this is the whole thing with. There's always been competitive imbalance, whether it was the region that your school was in, whether it was how much your boosters could pay your head coach, whether it was your boosters under the table with the bagmen paying the players, facilities. There's always been a competitive imbalance. And now that the players are getting money is where it's like, whoa, we need to rein this in. No. Don't give me that. There is the haves and the have-nots. Yeah. There always have been the haves and the have-nots.
The problem is they've become the have-nots, and they don't like it.
No, and that's...
It's not fun when the rabbit's got the gun.
This is always what happens when there is a landscape shift and change.
This is what we talk about with power vacuums. When the SEC had all the power, it was everything was fine. Status quo was fine. We don't need to make any changes. But now all of a sudden because here's the deal, like when these TV deals fall off and we move to the super conferences, there's going to be an even further leveling out. Because if you think that the Big Ten is going to make less than the SEC, you're out of your bleeping mind. You're out of your mind. It's not going to happen. They're going to be on the same level footing. And that extra SEC money that they've been getting for the years, that's going away. It's because they're going to be on the same level.
Yeah.
Then what do they complain about when that's level too?
Well, there's been a lot that has gone into this, and this has kind of been a dramatic shift with NIL and the transfer portal happening all at once, right? And you're seeing these guys that can go and they can transfer from an SEC school to a Big Ten school and get over that hump immediately. And like Caleb Downs is a great one. That's a guy that Nick Saban recruited to Alabama. It's a guy that Nick Saban gave NIL money to at Alabama. He goes and he's like, I'm out. Deuces. Like, I want to go and win a championship. I'm looking at Alabama. They're going to give me a big chunk of money. It's a team that is ready to win a title. I want to go and I want to do that. And he did, right? Like, there's that aspect of it that a lot of people don't like. And look, with a new coach, I think that changes things. You could throw that all out the window. When you get a new coach in,
sure, yeah,
that is so different.
Yeah, no, that's an entire.
But the hoarding of talent is where a lot of the SEC has come back down to earth.
Yes,
because guys are like, I don't really need to stick around home. I can go across the country.
Also, Quinyon Mitchell, the guy that we're talking about, is so important. What school did he go to?
Toledo.
What school went after him?
Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can go get the money. You can go get your time. You can still get in the NFL, and you can shine anywhere. For all of the, do you want to come to Alabama and go to the NFL, brother? Scouting's different now.
Yeah.
If you are one of them boys, you're going to the league.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Point blank. And you can get your money.
Yeah, but you
get the proliferation of talent that just spreads out.
When everybody is leaving, you can't stockpile your talent and just say we're going to win. Boom, 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 boom. Like Notre Dame. This year, one of the incredible things about their run was how banged up they really were on the offensive line, and their defense was they had injuries across the board. But when you don't have teams that are 3 deep, just waiting with dude after dude after dude,
NFL dude
like that,
it changes.
I think it's good for college football, and we're seeing. Now, granted, Michigan and Ohio State have won the national titles. Let's not act like we got new blood winning titles again.
No, you have the oldest of blue bloods in the country.
But you're allowing the opportunity for other schools to rise up and to take a little bit of that power away. And it's going to be a tough pill to swallow for the SEC. You could hear it, especially with Paul Feinbaum having to admit the Big Ten has passed the
for
SEC.
now.
That was
the funny part though. Is he made sure he's like for now. Like the
SEC may start pooling their money together in order to like.
Hey Dusty, where's Walmart?
They're gonna be sitting there, Arkansas. Okay. They're gonna be like, all right, guys, we need to build a $40 million roster for the betterment of the SEC as a whole. And they're just gonna be like, we're gonna draw straws. Then when Vanderbilt gets that winning straw and they get a $40 million roster, it's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be so much fun.
But that won't happen.
So many goalposts in the river. It's great. It's funny you mentioned Notre Dame. We got Worst Day on the Web coming up, but then we have some breaking Notre Dame news that we'll get to after Worst Day on the Web. Our Worst Day on the Web, though, is let he who is not, at least around our age, he or she, who may or may not have hopped on a MAX train for a little cheap fare to get around Portland. It's one thing. But what if you do it while hanging on to the edge of a 175-mile-an-hour train?
Nope.
Ooh, doggy. Well, we'll get to that here on the Worst Day on the Web. First, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center Update.
You ever had a Big Kahuna Burger?
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
If you've been arrested for DUI, you need a team of attorneys into whom you can place your trust. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today, online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on The Fan, some NFL news. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting the Jets hiring Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn to fill their head coaching vacancy. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting 9-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Khalil Mack will play in the 2025 season. The 2016 Defensive Player of the Year set to be an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his 11-year career. Schefter also reporting Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen taking himself out of consideration for the Jaguars head coaching job in what is likely a related move. Jacksonville announced they've parted ways with general manager Trent Baalke. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid says receiver Mecole Hardman will remain on injured reserve and will not return for the playoffs. Over in the association, the Trailblazers have won 2 straight after putting away the Heat in the third quarter last night in Miami. Portland now off until a back-to-back tomorrow in Orlando, Friday in Charlotte. The team announced today they've recalled Ryan Rupert from the Rip City remix, and ESPN's Shams Charania reporting Maverick center Derek Lively sustaining a small fracture in his left foot. He is expected to miss 2 to 3 months. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Did you score a smart speaker over the holidays? Just ask it to play 1080 The Fan. Is a conference championship week edition of Danny and Dusty
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
on 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web with Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Well, that sucks.
This sounds like a terrible, terrible thing to do. A 40-year-old Hungarian national held onto a bracket in between two carriages of a German high-speed train when he stepped out in between the doors to have a cigarette break in between stops. He had to hold on to said train at 175 miles an hour. He lived.
Whoa.
He did not fall. I don't... Is it worth it at that point?
To live?
To fair hop?
Oh, no.
'Cause that was the thing. It was a fair hop.
No, I would say no. That seems like you're gonna die.
I mean, basically, people on the train saw this guy hanging on outside onto the cabling. Like, again, he's not hanging on like outside of the train like in a movie, like a spy. It's the in between cars, but you're still going very, very, very fast, and you are not supported or held in any way, shape, matter, or form.
Was he able to still smoke his cig?
I would imagine
because I think
not.
to this Hungarian man,
That cigarette might have been the most important part of it.
If it's just dangling from his lip as he's just hanging on there, I could see that being worth it for him. Yeah.
It's all very
How long
dumb.
did he go?
Let's see. The Intercity Express train was a 6-hour journey to the northern city of Lübeck from Ingolstadt.
Sure. Not familiar.
But yeah, it looks like he was out there for quite some time.
Damn.
Yeah, it was, again, it makes stops, but doesn't appear like it makes very frequent stops. They added that the fare dodging passenger was amazingly unharmed, and they handed him over to the federal police.
Was he like, how did they catch him? Were they just like...
They saw him like outside the window.
Was
like,
he screaming
between
like,
cars.
this was a bad idea?
Yelling something in Hungarian, I would imagine.
Which, it's probably sounds pretty angry. I've never heard Hungarian.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of those languages, the Slavic region and former Soviet unions, they have that German tone to them.
Sure.
Where there's some angry rhetoric sounding. Like, I've never once heard in my life German sound mild. You can hear pretty much any of the North African dialects, any of the Arabic or Farsi dialects, and they can sound smooth. They can sound nice and romantic even. Greek, German? 9! It's never one of those things that's just, even when it's said nicely,
mad.
It's just, yeah.
The guy,
a lot of the Balkan languages kind of have that too also, but they can
tone
sound better.
about you.
Yeah. They can sound better,
Maybe he was just out there tapping on the glass like the old Mervin's commercial, just going open, open, open.
How do you say open in Hungarian?
I don't know. I just imagine. I hope he had that.
Open.
I just hope, I hope he had that dart just dangling, just burning, just like, oh boy.
Is there anything nietet that's open? Sounds like niet.
That sounds like Russian.
Yeah, but I mean, regionally.
Mm-hmm.
It's
right there.
But it's also interesting. And it looks like there's different versions of it. So there's open, fenceless, open-minded, overt.
Oh, sure.
So that's nietot or nielit.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. And we learned Russian or Hungarian too.
Hungarian.
Let's go.
The more you know. Is there anything that you would be like, you know what, I'm going to do this for?
That?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's life or death situation.
But outside of that.
No.
No? Like, not even in your young, dumb days?
Oh, young, dumb days. Those are all out the window. Yeah.
Okay. Because he is 40. He is our age.
You're talking about, like, I mean, Ghost Riding the Whip became popularized when we were in college.
You're not
so
wrong.
I got a buddy who ran himself over with his own car. He's fine.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
He got in front of the door. Knocked him down.
No, he just tripped. Back wheel went over him.
Oh no.
Yeah, he was fine. He was fine. But then I was like, that's why I'd never do it, dude.
Oh my God. That's why you have somebody in the passenger seat so they can.
Nobody was in the passenger seat either. Boy. We laugh because he's okay.
Yeah. It's not. You don't call him Stubbs McGillicuddy or anything?
No.
Okay.
There's several other things that we could criticize him harshly for. That,
but he's not Lieutenant Dan.
That one's just one of them. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, the Road Rash was incredible.
Oh, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it was a Forerunner too.
Oh, that's a heavy vehicle.
It was. Yeah.
It's like it's one thing if the Civic does it, you're like, didn't feel good.
Idiot.
Oh boy, yeah, that's tough. All right, so that's our worst day on the web. It's just one of those ones. I had some others, but I looked at that and I was like, 175 miles an hour, huh?
That is so fast.
Like, I don't think people truly comprehend how fast that is.
I would think that kind of wind, though, would make that cigarette burn a heck of a lot faster.
He was
too.
in between the cars.
Even then, like, the wind's going to tuck in there because like there's openings there.
Yeah. I think this guy, what's his name?
I just said a Hungarian national. They didn't have a name for him. Hungarian national would be a cool name, though.
Was it Hungarian? Sounds like a hot dog brand.
Well, this is like, and this it says
that one still have
this is not the
foreskin?
first time this has happened. In 2017, a Romanian man survived clinging onto the side of the train, traveling at 99 miles an hour for 15 miles after realizing he had left his luggage on the train. My man really wanted his luggage, but he did the superhero thing of like clinging on to the edge.
What was in his bags that he did not want other people
Probably
to find?
a lot of drugs.
Yeah. That's worth it for him.
Yeah. If I don't get these drugs back, I'm dead. So either way, I'm dead. God. All right. So that's our worst day on the web. We did get a little bit of breaking news going into that little seggy. I think it's definitely worth talking about because
it's big.
We talked about some changes for a couple other football teams. There's a big one for the national title runner-up Notre Dame, and we'll get to that here coming next on Danny and Dusty, Tonight the Fan. another team that's going to be missing their coordinator as well. Al Golden, now the former defensive coordinator for Notre Dame, is headed to the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals obviously let go of Lou Anarumo, who has now since signed with, drawing a blank.
No idea where Lou Anarumo
Colts.
is.
Thank you. I could see blue, but I was like, it's not the Lions. They still need to replace their defensive coordinator. But this is a bit of a surprise, isn't it?
No, Al Golden went to Notre Dame from Cincinnati, where he was the linebackers coach in 2021-ish. So that it does make sense. They have that opening. And look, Al Golden, for his faults as a head coach, he was really good at Temple. Remember, he went from Temple and he made Temple into a winner. Yeah, the Temple Owls, he made them into a winner. And then he got the Miami job and could not get Miami over the hump, right? And so he got canned there. And like, it's amazing what failing as a head coach can do for you and what you are perceived as. He is a really damn smart defensive mind. And you look at what he was able to do with that Notre Dame defense and take the stylings of the NFL, because that's where he went immediately after getting fired from Miami. Was he went to the NFL and sharpened his sword in the NFL, gets the DC job at Notre Dame, does an incredible job with Marcus Freeman in that roster. They play for a national title this year, and now he gets a chance to go back to Cincy where he was before. He has a relationship with Zach Taylor, and look, they need an upgrade on the defensive side. I don't think it was, Lou Anarumo wholly responsible, but you're bringing back the guy who was a linebackers coach there when your defense was humming, and they'll have some familiarity with his system, his style of play, and so you're not overhauling everything completely, but you're getting just a different voice in the room. And I think that can go a long way in that. Scheme-wise, you're not going to have to learn the new language.
No.
Right? But it's a new voice trying to get it through to you. I actually like that move for Zach Taylor, because
he's probably on thin ice, too. So he's going with something he trusts.
It wasn't something completely broken either.
Yeah.
It could just be, hey, we have a messaging issue. And when you have a guy who's fallen out of the good graces of the locker room, move on, bring somebody in who can get through to those guys. So, good.
The Bengals should be a lot better than they have been.
Oh, my gosh.
For multiple reasons. Now, they did have a ton of injuries, but the position that they found themselves in, it's not one that I don't think you can just, like you said, I don't think it's this one of those things where you can just fix it through coordinator. Like, what are the additional things that they need to kind of figure out in this next cycle?
Well, I mean, a lot of it, what we heard this time and time again, right? That there was the issue of their offense needed to play perfectly. I mean, it was like you had to be perfect.
Hell, there was actually probably a couple games where they were and still lost.
Yeah. And so you're not really that far. Like, Cincinnati's not that far off.
No.
If you look at how many one-score games do they have?
10?
Well, I think it might have been even 11. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, no, 12.
Oh, God.
No, 11. It was 11. It was 11. 11 one-score games, and those are even counting the ones that they did win.
Okay.
Right?
How many of those did they win?
4.
Oh, God.
So they went 4 and 7.
So you flip 3,
and
they're an 11-win team.
Yeah. And if you look at it, you go, New England out of the gate, they lose 16-10. Not your defense's fault.
No.
Okay? That was, remember, Jamar Chase, that was his first game back after the holdout, was
and
severely
Burrow
limited.
was rusty. Like, everything about it was just clanky.
26-25 to the Chiefs on the road.
Which
38-33 to the Commanders.
Yeah.
Okay? 41-38 to the Ravens,
Yeah,
right? You're giving up 41 points. Get a stop. That thing goes differently, right? You also had a 35-34 loss to the Ravens, right? Get yourself a stop, make a play here or there. 34-27 to the Chargers.
Against an offense that was not productive.
44-38 to the Steelers. I
An
mean,
offense
you're
that's
giving
not productive.
If you are giving up 40 points in the NFL.
That's
if you're
nuts.
It's crazy.
Honestly, if you're giving
talk.
up 25 plus to either of those offenses in the Chargers or Steelers, that is a problem. So those two games alone, you're now at 10 wins. What else we got on there that they didn't?
Patriots.
Well, I'm that one I'll throw away because of week 1 with Jamar and Burrow and everything being disjointed. You shouldn't, but it was janky in that first week.
I think you could throw out there the 41-38 loss to the Ravens, because 41 points,
it's too much.
Too much.
But I'm also saying Ravens, okay. You know what I mean?
But I mean, yeah, they're a good enough team though where
you should have gotten it stopped there.
Yeah.
Is there not one other game on there that was like pretty clear, like they should have gotten something out of it?
Commanders, but also
the Commanders are a really good
NFC
team.
Championship, yeah.
So their losses, other than the Patriots, well, I should say Patriots, Steelers, Chargers, and you could say
two of those teams are playoff teams. Though.
Yes, and very well coached.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about 3 very bad offenses.
Yeah,
and you gave up. Well, I guess the Patriots, you didn't give up any points. Your offenses didn't do anything. The other ones, you gave up way more points than you should have.
I'm looking back at that Cincinnati game. They got an interception late in the game, field goal to tie the game, and then in overtime, Cincinnati missed the field goal after the Ravens fumbled on their opening drive of overtime. I mean, that's not wholly on your defense, but you still gave up 41 points.
That's a big number. That's a crooked number.
It's huge.
So
huge.
All right, coming up in hour number 3, I actually want to revisit the Blazers because we didn't talk too much about the actual game itself. We went kind of grand scheme. What do we kind of see from the Trailblazers with a bit of a weird lineup? Scoot Henderson kind of picking things up for another game, and where they kind of go from here in hour number 3. Danny and Dusty, 10 to the Fan.
From the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, some news from around the NFL. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting the Jets hiring Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn to fill their head coaching vacancy. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting 9-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Khalil Mack will play the 2025 season. The 2016 Defensive Player of the Year set to be an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his 11-year career. Schefter also reporting Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen taking himself out of consideration for the Jaguars head coaching job in what is most likely a related move. Jacksonville announced they have parted ways with general manager Trent Baalke. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid says wide receiver Mecole Hardman will remain on injured reserve and will not return for the playoffs. Over in the association, the Trailblazers have won 2 straight after putting away the Heat in the third quarter last night in Miami. Portland now off until a back-to-back starting tomorrow in Orlando and Friday in Charlotte. The team announced today they've recalled Ryan Rupert from the Rip City remix. And ESPN Shams Charania reporting Maverick center Derek Lively has sustained a small fracture in his foot and is expected to miss 2 to 3 months. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
One number does it all for contests and texting your favorite fan shows. The Vancouver Ford text line is 503-864-6FAN. Hot teams.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
Hot quarterbacks.
Jeez, look at the butt on that.
And hot takes.
Yeah, he must work out.
This is Danny and Dusty on Conference Championship Week.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design, a trusted local architectural design studio ready to bring your dream home to life. Visit smartlinehomedesign.com.
Danny and Dusty on 1080. The Fan.
Hour number 3 here on a Wednesday on Danny and Dusty, whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And it is indeed a Wednesday. Look at that. I remember the day.
See?
I remember the day.
All you needed
I'm
was
an
a
adult.
reminder 2 hours ago.
Yeah, there you go.
During
the middle of the day.
Yeah, dude.
During the day yesterday, because the Blazers are on a East Coast swing, a Florida frog hop is what I'm taking to calling the trip between Miami and Orlando.
What are they, crossing over France?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Well, I wanted to make an alligator reference, but there's just no way to alligator Florida. I don't know.
The Gator roll.
It's not bad.
The Gator roll from Miami up to Orlando.
Oh, God, that'd be a long gator roll.
It happens. You know,
shredded to pieces.
Yeah, just look what happened to Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, there you go. That's a tough gator roll. But I want to circle back to the game because we didn't really talk about the game. We talked really about Jimmy Butler and the Heat and what's going on there. And a quick little update: John Gambadoro, who does radio in Phoenix, has confirmed, and he's about as source as it gets when it comes to Phoenix news, that Bradley Beal would indeed waive his no-trade clause for the Milwaukee Bucks, which is what we were talking about in the first hour.
Okay, now this is interesting, though, because the way that Bradley Beal operates all of these moves, right?
He has final says.
He has, because he has a no-trade clause.
Only one in the NBA.
But he has like this hard line where reportedly, like, he doesn't approach the team and say this.
You come to him.
The team will have to say, hey, are you open to a move? And at that point, he'll be like, yeah.
Because it's not just
but
where.
These are the places.
It's not just where. Because he almost went to Milwaukee. Well, this is reported now. So he almost went to Milwaukee before he got dealt to Phoenix.
Right.
But he didn't like the other moves the Bucks were going to have to make that deal happen.
It's actually smart of him.
No, it genuinely is. This is like the same thing we're talking about with the offensive coordinators and assistants being like, no, I don't like that stuff going on there. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
So, but this is a player kind of having that. And the fact that a player has this is insane. Again, shout out to his agent. My God, what an incredible thing to have. But he is open to that move. And again, I've heard of a 4-team. I'm still trying to figure out which 5th team would be involved as a potential facilitator.
I mean, outside of the Blazers, obviously.
Yeah, they're not there.
Oh.
Yeah, I have not. Look, if they get into this, it would be out of nowhere, which wouldn't be out of the norm for them and how they operate. They do, walk quietly and carry a big stick, so to speak, when they do transactions. Like, oh, it's there. But when you have this many teams, it's hard to keep things quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to not be in this at all, like even when the Dane to Milwaukee stuff, like I talked about Ayton a lot because I knew Phoenix had been a part of conversations, and I'd heard Jared Allen's name in Cleveland early in the process. The Blazers were looking to find a big that made sense, and there was only so many that made sense when you started moving salaries. It's not, you don't have to be, a mind reader to figure it out. But with this, there's only so many spots that things can go because Beal holds that magic no trade clause.
Sure.
So I think there's a likely chance that this happens. As far as like all trades are unlikely, I think there's a more likely chance because I think Jimmy has made this so toxic in Miami. It is what it is. But speaking of Miami, the Portland Trailblazers did play in Miami.
They did.
And I think you kind of saw what the Blazers hope to see for this season in that.
A win?
Well, not just a win, but something that made sense. And I think you saw Ant play well, Scoot play well, Denny play well, despite not having the stats really to back it up as far as like he went 5 of 10 from the free throw line and 1 of 6 from 3.
But I think that if you're looking at what a productive day for Denny Advia is in this team, in this roster,
it's all of the things.
A double-double is it right there, right? And he went, 16, 10, and 5.
Yeah. And that's like he should have had like 22, 10, and 5 because he hits 1 3 and 2 more free throws, which let's just say 70% from the line instead of 50%. Well, you add 5 more points to 16, pretty good. Now what was it, 16 or 18? I can remember. 16. Yeah. So you get a night like that and you have 21, 10, and 5.
That's a pretty incredible night.
That's a month. But that's the thing is, like, you look at his performances over the last couple of weeks and you're like, that's kind of becoming norm. The thing that I said about Denny when they acquired him, like I said, when he's fully integrated, I think he's like a 17-7, 17-8, and 5 guy. And that's not an all-star, but it's like the highest end role player in the league.
I think we get caught way too much in just stat line watching because I think where Blazer fans are right now is that there's this desperation, there's this want to have a star. Because this is a team that
you
is truly
pin something on
void of stars. When you have a roster full of role players, you want to see within the context of a game, as you said earlier, have the game make sense. And so many of the Blazers games have not made sense.
Parts of it have made sense.
It's looked bad at times. Last night, to your point of what Blazer fans are hoping to see, aside from wins and losses, what you want to see are the guys that are going to be here moving forward playing those roles that they will be productive moving forward. We talked about this with Scoot. It wasn't his biggest scoring night over the last 5-game stretch where he's been playing a lot better. But at the same time, it was probably his best game overall because of context of what the team was trying to accomplish, and he was actually getting it done and facilitating it, which is a point guard's role.
Yes.
It was 11 points, but it was 8 assists.
He fit in seamlessly.
That made it look like, okay, this makes sense. Denny's role, it made sense, right? And then, like, for me, I don't know what the future has in store for the other 3 guys that were in that starting lineup, right? Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton, and Anthony Simons. But whatever you can get to maximize those guys looked better playing alongside him. Those guys have looked uncomfortable for most of the season playing alongside Scoot Henderson. So that, to me, is encouraging of, okay, are things starting to click for him?
Despite those guys leading and scoring, the veterans, Ant, D.A., Jeremy, I thought for really the first time, Scoot helped elevate them. And that's the point of those guys being there, was that it makes it easier for him to do his job. To be the facilitator.
What a novel concept.
I know, it's a crazy thing. Like this is the drum that I've been beating.
Yeah.
It's like you want to see it to where Scoot doesn't have to do all the things. He doesn't feel like he has to make every play. Though I think the one downside to this is that Shaedon, I think he's obviously taking it on the nose, getting pushed to the bench. His pride's probably a little hurt. I think that's a real thing. And it's something that happens. And
the reason why it is happening, though, I understand why he is frustrated because the reason why him getting pushed to the bench was his defensive effort.
Mhm.
When Scoot is getting his playing time elevated, it's been pretty disastrous at times on that end of the floor.
It's
I
tough.
can see how that doesn't sit well with him, but at the same time, you're not playing the same position.
No, and it's also the same thing of like, you've been given more leash than he has early on. Now, you earned it, so to speak, but also there was a point in time where the other players didn't think you earned it.
For sure.
Remember his rookie year when he was getting tick over Nasir Little?
Mhm.
I can tell you right now, the veterans in the locker room were not happy about that.
No.
Because they did not feel like he earned it. Now Shaden's getting a little taste of that, of like, well, he didn't. It's like, well, yeah, he's the new young shiny thing, bud. He's getting his opportunity now. Welcome to the rat race.
That's what happens, my dude.
And it's like, yeah, this is the same situation. Like, he is now elevated enough to where he's going to be given a little pass because he's showing a little something. The same thing that happened to you. The whole idea of like, yeah, you showed a little something. So you're getting a little bit more tick. You're getting like, for everybody's like, I want the same rules for everybody. That's not how it exists.
Yeah.
You're like, even in a militant organization like the Miami Heat, you're seeing that play out in real time.
Yeah.
The
no
same
doubt.
rules don't apply to Jimmy that apply to Khalil Ware.
By the way, do you see rules are applying to Jimmy?
Mm.
Jimmy's been suspended for 2 games by the Miami Heat.
My man was point shaving last night.
No, he missed a team flight and on Wednesday. He had plans to join the Heat tonight. Now Miami is keeping him home for its 2-game road
See,
trip.
that one they can suspend him for.
Yeah, he missed the
You
team
missed the
flight.
team flight. They can get you for that. That's violation of team rules and
Guarantee
travel.
he did it on purpose, though,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
He's saying, dare you. But that also,
That's I'm staying home until you trade me.
This is the thing about Jimmy that I don't get is like, now you are giving all that 10-page memo that they sent
You're
to
giving
the
him a memo.
NBA PA and to the NBA saying, no, we suspended him with cause. Now you're giving credence to that, and you're probably the NBA PA is going to be like, dude, how are we going to fight for you in this one?
Well, they'll fight on the 7-game suspension or 6-game suspension, whatever that was, and they'll probably get half of it back, I would imagine. That's at least, I should say, that's what I've heard from other people who are like, yeah, they just, with the team stuff, they make you go, yeah, but, you know, this, and this, because you can't have it like iron fist against the teams against the PA.
Yeah.
Because it's not good for anybody. But this one, he's going to lose all his money.
Yeah, he's going to lose his money.
It's like when Zion got suspended for missing the flight. And again, it wasn't the first time he missed the flight. Stars don't ever get suspended for missing the flight the first time.
No.
It's like the 5th time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of times
that's
guys,
a bold move by him.
Guys will catch up later.
Yeah.
Like, that's
I'm looking here.
Rules are different across the NBA. Like when the Heat were playing the Nuggets in the finals, did you catch that in the Ramona Shelburne article? He stayed at a mansion 30 miles away from the team hotel in Denver.
No way.
Hey, Heat culture, baby. Heat culture. They don't. Everybody has to abide. It's all everybody on the same. Pulling on the rope on the same time.
I'm gonna see here though, because what would be interesting is if Jimmy did this on purpose because of the jock tax. We know what the jock tax is, which is where each state has states have.
It's cheaper for him to stay in Florida than to go to the States.
Yeah, he's like, fine, I'll just take that.
Where are they going?
They're going to Wisconsin and New York. I know New York.
New York
is
has
high
a
on the list,
massive one,
but I don't know about Wisconsin.
I still think California is the highest.
Yeah. Well, Illinois, California are 2 of the highest. 13.3% in California.
Yeah, it's
Yikes,
bonkers,
dog.
dude. That's on top of the taxes that you pay on top of that.
Yeah.
So it's very prohibitive to play there.
Yikes.
And yet you can make a lot of money back in endorsements.
Sure can, Bob.
That's the important thing. But I think this is despite it being the least impactful box score for Scoot Henderson, I've found his last 2 games to be the most comfortably reinforcing thing I have seen from him, because it's more about point guard play than ball go in hoop. Because you're going to have variance in the ball going in. Like that happens. Sometimes you can't control that. For all of the stuff that's out there as far as shooting, Some nights you just can't. What you can control is how you run the team, how you get your team into stuff, and how you set guys up.
Boy, we're going coach speak here with the controllables, but it's true.
It's true. It's particularly as when you're talking about a guy like Scoot.
Yep.
Like we're a guy who's not going to be leaned on to take 20-plus shots a night. Like that's not his profile. So if he starts doing that, like somebody asked me, I want to say probably 2 months ago, like my ideal outcome for Scoot. It was physical Andre Miller.
Okay.
Like,
I like that.
But not the post game, but like heady, smart, gets you into stuff, high level passer, lob king. Look, because here's the thing: Scoot is a lob king.
Mm-hmm.
He has great timing and feel on lobs, and the Blazers just have not had that in a decade.
Every now and then can go off when you need him. Not even when you need him to.
But
just
just
he'll
because
go off and you'll be like, where did that come from?
But it's about getting your team in the right places and being physical and being precise. Like Andre Miller did the most by doing the least.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to see from Scoot. Be effective without having to go hezzy, tween, attack. It's like, no, man, simplify the game. He's looked his best these last couple of games, simplifying his game, having a plan on attacking. And it's looked so effortless. And that's the thing, like, that has been missing for 95 games.
Yeah, well, hopefully it will happen. I'm going and I was looking at like on the start of Andre Miller's career.
Mm-hmm. I think he was a 4-year guy at Utah, I think.
Yeah.
So he came out a little bit older.
He was 23 when he came in.
Yeah, he was a 4-year guy.
But it was like 11-5 shooting, 44% from the field in his rookie year, 20% from three.
Not a 3-point shooter at all.
No.
And I think Scoot will end up being a better shooter.
Yeah, he was like 11 points, 3 rebounds, 5.8 assists, a steal every game. I mean, that was Andre Miller's first year in the NBA.
And I think Scoot's past that.
And as he kind of progressed, I mean, the back end of his career, he was literally just a facilitator.
Yeah, but there was like the peak of his career. What was his highest points per game?
17.
Yep, that's the number I've had for Scoot for years.
17
since he was drafted.
17 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists.
I've had him as like
2007, 2008.
I've had him as like a 17, 9, and 5 guy.
Yeah.
Like that's what I've always thought of him as being like, and that's not a shot at him. Like,
no,
that's a difficult thing to do.
But here's the thing, though: when you're drafted 3rd overall, the expectations are that you're going to be something completely different.
But I mean, 17. Even that was when he was drafted.
Yeah,
like 17, 9. Like if you're flirting with a double every night.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying the expectations, not by you, but from the masses, are that is you should be a volume scorer. And Andre Miller was the 8th overall pick, not number 3.
No,
overall.
but
there's a big difference there.
but
he's still a top 10 pick.
That's exactly what I mean, though. Like it's like I think even on draft night, like 17, 9, and 5 is a really good outcome.
Yeah,
like a genuine like. If he's a guy who can, that means if he's 17, 9, and 5, that means he's a guy that can get you a triple-double. That means on any given night, he can be a 20 and 10 guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're averaging 17, 9, and 5, that means on a normal night, you're plus, like if you look at the NBA right now, how many guys are averaging that or better? It's a very short list.
Yeah. Be effective with your time.
Don't turn the ball over. Capitalize on your on your playmaking opportunities, and when scoring opportunities present themselves, be more efficient.
Mm-hmm. There,
like the path is there for him.
Yep, I'm there with you.
Now, if he can get there, we'll see. All right, coming up next, the Baseball Hall of Fame. Did they get it right? Danny and Dusty, 1080 Fan. The Baseball Hall of Fame has made their announcements for this year's class. And somebody somewhere deserves a good paddling. Ichiro Suzuki, 393 of 394 possible votes.
Yeah.
What is going on here?
I don't know.
Who is this human and why are you terrible?
But I don't know why somebody wants to be cool and just be like, no, I'm not going to vote for him. He's going to get in anyways. This is what they usually do. I used my vote for somebody else that's also deserving. I knew he was going to get in. It's like, no, vote for the best players to get in. It doesn't matter if they are a first ballot or a fifth ballot. Vote for the most deserving players. If you felt that Ichiro was not deserving of the Hall of Fame, then you should not be voting for the Baseball Hall of Fame. And this goes back to like all of the other guys that came one vote shy.
Derek Jeter is the only other person to become one singular vote shy, and I'd argue he had no business being one vote shy of being a unanimous Hall of Famer. He finished ahead of Ken Griffey, Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, Cal Ripken Jr. Every single one of those players is bigger, better, and more important than Derek Jeter.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if more important just because of what Derek Jeter became as like the face of the New York Yankees.
Well, that's the thing is
the captain,
the media,
but
part of it.
He was not as good of a player.
He was never the best player on his own team.
He was really damn good.
He was,
and he
absolutely.
was a Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer
for sure. That's the issue that I take with a lot of these people that vote in the Baseball Hall of Fame is that they're going to hold guys back that should be in the, like Alex Rodriguez got 37% of the vote. I get it. Steroids. Don't want steroid guys in. He should be in, right? Felix Hernandez, 20% of the vote. Felix Hernandez should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, just because he didn't get
his team sucked.
Yeah, he was the most dominant pitcher for a decade.
I mean, if you want to go back and like people are going to gatekeep the Hall of Fame for all of the different reasons, right? Why? You can go back and the guys that are in the Hall of Fame, there's guys that are in the Hall of Fame that were horrible people.
Oh, God.
That cheated the game in a variety of ways. And off the field were terrible people too, right? The Baseball Hall of Fame, any sports Hall of Fame.
It's about the sport.
It's a museum of the history of the game. And I say this about Mike Leach, and the stupid reason why he is not in the Hall of Fame is because he's one win shy of hitting the threshold. The man coached at Texas Tech, Washington State, and Mississippi State, and is still one win shy. He died. They won the bowl game. He didn't get credit for that win, right? You can't tell the story of college football without Mike Leach. You can't tell the story of Major League Baseball without a lot of the steroid users. You can't. Like Carlos Beltran, he's on the cusp of getting in, got 70.3% of the vote. You need 75% to get in? Is that right?
75 or 70? I can never remember.
Well, he got 70.3 and didn't get in.
Okay, so it must be 75.
So he is a guy that they're withholding votes because of his role in the Astros cheating scandal in 2017. Right?
Which it's all very dumb.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that they're saying, well, you cheated the game. Guess where he got a lot of the stuff that he was using? Wasn't in Houston.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those guys were bringing things that they all learned, and they said, you know what, we're going to put it on
they
steroids.
Supercharged it, yes.
They sure as hell did. But you have a lot of really, I mean, you have some of the best players to ever play baseball that aren't in the Hall of Fame, and you want to pretend like we can't tell the story of the game without them in there. No, we all still mention them. It's ridiculous that Barry Bonds and
Bonds
Roger
is the
Clemens
best hitter of all time.
Are not in the Hall of Fame.
Like, it's just, it is what it is.
It's going to be ridiculous when Alex Rodriguez is not in the Hall of Fame. And
to pretend that the pitchers at the time weren't also juiced. And
yeah,
it's like,
that's true. But I think
it wasn't just Clemens, guys.
The Ichiro getting in and getting 393 of 394. That one guy, first of all, don't be a coward. Come forward.
Yeah.
Let us know why you didn't do it.
I love the public voting that comes out with the NBA. It's wonderful.
But
we can name and shame.
That man is more deserving than any other person. Like, I
One of the
mean,
greatest players to ever live.
ever. And if you take his career where some of his prime was in Japan and you add his stats, he's the hit king of professional baseball
By
at all levels.
an order of magnitude.
He is, in all of the stories of Ichiro could have hit for power, but that's not what he was asked to do, so he didn't do it. And it's like, yeah, he could have.
He could have been a 400 home run guy.
The thing about Ichiro that is a stat that amazes me. Asa Spader, Ryan Spader has this stat. In his 10th career at bat, he hit a single to center field. After that point, his 10th career at bat, he never dipped below 300 again in his entire career.
Good God.
His career average stayed over 300 from his 10th career at bat all the way through his entirety of his career.
Well, and he came over at what I think I saw was the age of 29 and over 3,000 hits after the age of 29.
Nuts.
That's bananas.
Hold on. I have to see something here now. So he came over 01 and he had 9,934 at bats. So for 9,924 at bats, he stayed above 300.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, pretty
That's
good, huh?
insane.
Hit for his career batting average. Yeah.
And to be clear, this is a guy who led baseball in at bats for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yep.
8 years.
Yeah, pretty good, huh?
The
And
man was 37 years old in 2011 and led baseball in at bats.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was freakish is what he was. 2, 3.
Goodness gracious.
And by the way, his final 8 seasons in Major League Baseball,
Mhm.
in each individual season, he did not hit over 300.
No. Because that's the big thing is he had the
He had 8 seasons not hitting over 300. That's how incredible it was that he hit 350,
he had
372, 322, 351, 352. Like, what?
Yeah. And it was not just having that average, it's having that average with 700 at bats a year.
Mind-boggling, isn't it?
Yeah, dude.
The other one is, I know we're kind of up against it here.
MVP and Rookie of the Year doesn't deserve, though, be unanimous Hall of Famer.
Well, but he wasn't really Rookie of the Year because he was 29 and he already played like 10 years in Japan. So was he really a rookie?
His first year playing in the United States of America,
Where the competition goes up.
he was
the
an
best.
MVP, the Rookie of the Year, Gold Glove winner, Silver Slugger. No.
Just chill, dude. Save some of the awards for everybody else.
And he said, nah, no. My favorite story of Ichiro still, though, is the Who the F is Tom Brady story.
Oh, that's so great.
And
everybody like, what?
I don't like A-Rod. He should still be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Don't like him. But A-Rod confirmed. He's like, yeah, no, that's true. Like, what happened was Ichiro walked into the training room and was like, some guy is asking said Alex Rodriguez gave his number to me and he wants to come and learn my stretching routine. And they're like, well, who is it? He's like, Tom Brady. Tom Brady? Who the is Tom Brady? In 2017.
That is a man who lives and breathes baseball.
This wasn't
way off.
This wasn't 2001 where you could have like that, maybe I don't know who Tom Brady is. No, that man just went, I am baseball. Once baseball is over, I go back to Japan where I don't hear about football.
Baseball been very, very good to me.
I don't know who Tom Brady is.
Also, you know what else you know by this? He didn't have Shohei's bookie.
Yeah, no.
Because he would know.
He would know.
He would know.
He would know.
Just saying. I want to talk to you about CC Sabathia, but maybe we can save that for another day. Because the whole idea of a pitcher with less than 300 wins making the Hall of Fame.
I think it's changing.
The change is coming.
Well, and also like Billy Wagner getting in.
Another closer.
Go Astros.
A pitcher with more pounds than wins.
Don't. Or you're talking CC. I was like, don't put Billy Wagner.
Yeah, no.
I'm like, what?
Don't get me wrong. CC was that dude, but
Mm-hmm.
the mark for Hall of Fame for pitchers has basically been 300 wins.
Yeah.
And he's at 251.
Yeah.
That's a pretty substantial gap.
But I think the world that we live in now, pitchers aren't going to hit that
No,
number, and
like-
CC deserves it.
No, and the reason I was like, that's interesting, and I was like, who's the other pitcher of the generation? I was like, how many wins does Clayton Kershaw have? It's like 221. I'm like, oh boy, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
The pitcher's wins very different going forward.
Yeah, I mean, in like Billy Wagner getting into this is kind of that changing in how you're viewing closers, because he isn't like top 5 saves of all time. I think
he's
is
4th.
He's 8th.
Is he 8th?
Yeah, 422 career saves, 225 came with the Astros, are 8th most in big league history. Yeah. So I mean, it's like,
he is the 4th highest strikeout rate. That's what it is.
That dude was
nothing but gas.
He was so fun. And don't confuse him with Brad Lidge, everybody. Not different human beings. There's a lot of people out there.
Brad Lidge is the one that watched the ball go very, 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 very far when Albert Pujols mashed it to another dimension.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That broke Brad. Well, hey, who's still on the NLCS that year?
Just saying, that was fun.
That was not Billy Wagner. He was after.
No, he was after. All right. Coming up next with some more NFL news and notes that we haven't got to, just kind of do a little smorgasbord as well as a few other hires, and where do some coaching hires come next. But first, is Big Kahuna with Sports and Update.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Langdon Farms Golf Club. Good or bad weather, the golf course is always the driest around. Download the Langdon Farms app today and get all the latest news and specials. First on The Fan, some news around the NFL. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting the Jets hiring Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn to fill their head coaching vacancy. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting 9-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Khalil Mack will play in the 2025 season. The 2016 Defensive Player of the Year set to be an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his 11-year career. Schefter also reporting Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen taking himself out of consideration for the Jaguars head coaching job in what is apparently most likely a related move. Jacksonville announced they have parted ways with general manager Trent Baalke. And Chiefs head coach Andy Reid says wide receiver Mecole Hardman will remain on injured reserve and will not return in the playoffs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rest at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
We got some news and notes around the NFL. Some good, some bad. Some good and bad.
Oh,
I want to have a little bit of fun with this one. Did you see what Bills fans are doing? Because they're notorious for doing very sideways but funny things.
Yeah, they know how to really dig a knife into your side. But to do it in the kindest way possible.
Yeah, I mean, to jump onto the table in the nicest way possible, as it were. This is filing under the something positive section. Bills fans have gone to Ravens tight end Mark Andrews' charity and donated nearly $40,000 to it.
Remember, they did this with Andy Dalton.
Yep.
When Andy Dalton sealed the deal for them to get a playoff spot, they bombarded him with charitable contributions. This is what the people of Buffalo do. They
embrace their heroes.
Well, they may be the same fan base that throws adult toys onto the field during games when Rob Gronkowski is playing.
What toys are those, Dusty?
You can use your imagination on that one. But it also is a fan base that gives back with their charitable contributions. Yeah. They really do care. And Mark Andrews going through it. Not just the fumble, the drop 2-point conversion. Boy, he bailed out those Bills fans quite a bit.
Well, the one thing's for sure is they love Andy Dalton a little bit more than Mark Andrews, because Andy Dalton's charity got over $250,000 after that game.
$250,000?
Yeah, that's how much they raised. Pretty crazy. Now, 40,000 is nothing to sneeze at, but it's still like they really appreciated Andy Dalton.
Well, gosh, let's just think about inflation too
right?
here.
Yeah.
Like that 250.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of money, man. Yeah. Whoa.
So, another I say good news, bad news situation. My Raiders made a GM hire.
Hey, this is a good one.
I believe they have gone down the right path. I believe.
Okay.
They've hired John Spytek, the former AGM of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I wonder what connection could have been made there. As Thomas Edward Brady is.
Oh, that's right.
The ownership group for the Raiders.
But I also will say hire from productive and good organizations that draft well.
Yeah. I mean, Light's done really well there.
He has done a phenomenal job drafting, developing, finding a system of guys that will work to build an organization. Commanders did the exact same thing with Adam Peters, who they hired away from San Francisco, right? They hired the assistant general manager to John Lynch, his right-hand man, and they say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to follow that path, and that's how we're going to grow this thing. And I don't know if anybody's followed along. The Washington Commanders are currently in the NFC title game. They played the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend. I think they're doing a pretty good job. So it's not like this foolproof method, but at the same time, it has proven that get guys from successful cultures in really good places that draft well tends to work out.
Yeah, if you look at the Tampa Bay Bucks draft history over the last couple of years, they've done pretty well.
Yeah,
they've done pretty well. So the Raiders, with the exception of last year, have not. Which is kind of funny because Telesco gets the 1 year. It's like his draft was really good. Might have ultimately got the best non-quarterback in the entire draft.
Yeah.
In Brock Bowers.
Pretty good.
Not too bad. All right. Coming up next, we're going to keep it in the NFL, and Ben Johnson throwing down a little bit of smack talk.
Love it.
Love it. We'll get to that here to wrap up today's show on Danny Dusty, Today the Fan.
Hello, sports.
edition of Danny and Dusty
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
on 1080 The Fan.
Chicago Bears head coach Ben Johnson had his introductory press conference, and look, I like somebody poking the bear. The bear poking.
You got to know the rivalries, my
know.
man.
And he
Gotta
knows,
know
coming from the
rivalries.
NFC North and the Lions, he knows exactly how this twisted, not triangle, it's a twisted square works.
I know this is the toughest division of football right now. There's 3 teams that made the playoffs this year. I've got tremendous amount of respect for the coaches and the players in this league. Having competed against them for the last 6 years. Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell, you're talking about 2 guys that are up for Coach of the Year awards as the season ends here. And to be quite frank with you, I kind of enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year.
Love to see it.
Oh, hey, I love that from him.
Look, I've got a bunch of buddies who are Packers fans who cover the Milwaukee Bucks, and yeah, it was very funny to watch them kind of like, okay, yeah, let's see about that. And I'm like, oh, he got under your skin already. This is going perfect.
Well, you do have to understand the rivalries and how much.
Oh, and the Packers have mauled them.
You could hear the reporters going to go, ooh. It's the fan base that's going to eat that stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
And it does help when you finally get off the schneid with your young core and an interim head coach and beating the Packers at the end of the regular season, right? And kind of getting finally that stink of losing to them. I don't know, for how long was that? Wasn't it like 6 years or something that they had lost to the Green Bay Packers every single time?
I mean, Aaron didn't lose for 10 years?
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was something obscene like that, wasn't it?
It was a long time.
Like, he absolutely annihilated them.
Yeah, well, I would assume that.
I mean, the Bears weren't good in that period, and the Packers were real good.
Yeah. Yep. All right, here we go. Got it. Packers are 9-1 since 2020, with their one loss coming this year.
Yeah.
And then you have to go back to, let's see, last Bears win before that was 2018. So, yeah, it was 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a long time, though. I mean,
that's 7 years there, or 6 years with 2 wins.
Yeah.
That's tough. And then before that, didn't Green Bay win a ton in a row?
No, it was kind of back and forth a little bit.
God, I could have swore there was
a back and forth. Well, I mean, it was like Packers sweep, then they split, Packers sweep, split.
Okay,
Packers
so they
sweep,
picked
Packers
up
sweep,
one in there every
split.
now and then. Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't quite as one-sided as it has.
Maybe
been.
maybe it wasn't 10 years they did it. Maybe he was like 10-2 against them at one point in time.
Well, yeah, it was 11. It was 11 straight.
Good God. That's tough.
That's very bad.
That's a tough place. But hey, look, Ben Johnson, all right, stirring the pot. I'd love to see it.
Yes.
Oh, this is fun. Remember?
Now get an offensive line and a better defense in the back end.
Make rivalries matter again.
Yes.
I love this. I want to bring hatred back to sports.
It's going to be weird, though, because there's going to be like a bro-off between he and Dan Campbell. Or do you think Dan Campbell just hates him?
I think he's dead to him.
Well, Amon-Ra St. Brown said that the exchange that he and Ben Johnson had is, I'm going to beat the F out of you. No, I'm going to beat the F out of you.
Mwah.
And that's how it should be.
Love it.
All right, we will see you tomorrow. It'll be a Thursday edition of Danny and Dusty. Coming up next is 4 hours of power from their mouths to your ears. Primetime with Isaac Souk right here on The Fan. Have a great day.
Bye.